Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. I am joined today. This is going to be a great conversation. I'm joined today by Jaco Booyens, Blaze TV contributor and host of The Bottom Line, along with Eric July, of course, Blaze TV contributor and founder of Ripaverse Comics. Glad you guys are here. The dynamic duo.
Yeah,
So happy to be here.
Is back in town, baby.
For the whole show.
Yes, the whole show. A lot of developments have just kind of transpired with all of Donald Trump's legal saga. So I want to kind of take it case by case here at the top of the show. So the last we heard on the classified documents case, the United States District Judge Eileen Cannon recently indefinitely postponed the trial date for these classified documents after Jack Smith's prosecution admitted that the evidence was mishandled. The evidence was just mishandled. Okay, so recall, in August of 2022, the FBI raided in an unprecedented manner the Mar-a-Lago estate, seizing 102 documents with classification markings from Trump's office and storage room, according to the indictment. And, they said 17 of these records were marked top secret, 54 were designated secret, 31 were labeled confidential, blah, 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 blah. Well, they released this photo that those of you who are watching, those of you who are listening on audio podcast, you may recall this. It was like the infamous photo with all the classified documents and all of these top secret designations all spread all over the floor. And what we were told was this was what the FBI found when they raided Mar-a-Lago, just like that, right? Well, except not, because these recent filings from Jack Smith's team indicated that the photo was completely staged. See, they brought those top secret labels and they added those in. They spread them all out on the floor and they added those in just to get the dramatic picture. All right. So that's where we're at on that particular classified documents case, except now explosive new unsealed filings in this case reveal just that the FBI authorized the use of deadly force in the Mar-a-Lago raid. Here it is, right here. Law enforcement officers of the Department of Justice may use deadly force when necessary. Again, we are talking about the unprecedented raid on a former president's home for classified documents, which every other freaking president has always done. In fact, I seem to recall a then vice president who did the same thing, except his were stored near an old Corvette that his crackhead son used. Okay? So it goes on. Armed FBI agents were preparing to confront Donald Trump and even engage Secret Service if necessary. They were going to go door to door to terrorize Mar-a-Lago guests and even pick the locks. This is how far they were willing to go to prove the point. Not because they care about classified documents, not because classified documents is a big deal, not because, they were worried about national security or anything like that. No, because the humiliation is, of course, the point. By the way, this was all broken by Julie Kelly on Twitter. I want to give her the credit here. She's been sifting through all of these documents, but this is all in the legal filings. Here's another. The FBI had a medic on the scene and identified a local trauma center for anyone injured during the raid. I don't know about you guys, but this sounds a whole hell of a lot like a group of people who are just foaming at the mouth for someone to have any sort of reason to assassinate a former president of the United States. That, call me crazy, but that sure is what it sounds like to me, because why else would you need to use deadly force to obtain classified documents that, again, the precedence is that every other president has done something like this. And then, of course, she tweeted out the use of deadly force instructions attached to the FBI's operational instructions. And, of course, recall who authorized the raid, Merrick Garland.
Go ahead, Eric.
Look, this sounds like mob behavior, if I'm going to be completely honest, the way that I analyze this. The reason why I say it sounds like mob type stuff is that under the guise of the documents, at this point, we know that was a front. That's what they would refer to it as. It's more of, okay, there's something else that I want to do, but I need to justify that. And this is why that's where the classified documents kind of come in here. OK, they were fully prepared to escalate this, and it's worded as if that's what they kind of wanted.
Alibi.
Now, if I'm Trump, I'd be as nervous as all get out, understanding that information, because, talk about getting Secret Service and everything involved. Who the hell is on this man's side?
Right.
Does he have people that are looking over him that play for the other team, if you know what I mean, right? Not nearly as objective, not about protecting a former president of the United States. These guys were fully prepared, and that is unprecedented. The whole act is unprecedented, and now with the spread of information, thanks to things like Twitter and things that are out there, we have shows like this that exist where we're all discussing everything that's going on. And maybe we become a little more, I would say, argue too desensitized to what the hell just took place. Mm-hmm. And the FBI, okay, let's just put two and two together here, were fully willing to use deadly force to obtain documents and raided a property of a former president of the United States. Okay? That's dangerous territory that we've entered in. Okay? And I think that the American people should be paying attention to that, because this might get even uglier than what it is right now. But they do not like this man.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't it sound like something that you would hear that was happening maybe in China or North Korea or Russia, that you have such, dictator-esque tactics happening in that particular country? And then it's like, no, actually, it's just America in 2022 then?
Yeah, but you're saying
21?
But you're saying something that is the tactic, though. That's Maduro's playbook. That's Mao's playbook. That's Xi Jinping's playbook. That's little Rocket Man's playbook. Is you take an example. You make an example of a very, very prominent figure, and it brings all of society into submission, right? I want to explain something. When we operate in an operation with law enforcement, okay, fighting human trafficking, and you get a warrant, you go through a process of looking at the intel, you build the case, you plan the op, it's planned. They go to Merrick Garland. Mm-hmm. The operation, the op gets assessed. It gets a classification on it, a threat assessment, a risk assessment. What is the op? There's several scenarios where you sit in a situation room and you map out every room. You get the blueprints of Mar-a-Lago. They go through, we enter this door. You're the door knocker, you announce, you take this flank. The op is meticulously planned. Then you assess and say, what's the risk assessment? We're going weapons hot. Can we get clearance for weapons hot? You got to get clearance for that. They get clearance to do what? To get paper?
Right.
From who? From El Chapo? No, the former president of the United States that poses what threat in that moment? What staff? Lots of staff. Been to Mar-a-Lago many times. Big place. Big place. Lots of people. Hey, get medvac on point. Get a center close on standby. We may be bringing casualties. We may be bringing hurt people. That's how you build an operation, an op. You assess what combat are we going to face. Then you ask for classification based on what you think you're going to need when you go in. So they made the argument to Merrick Garland, look, we need the right for deadly force. Why? Because you think Donald Trump's going to attack you?
Right.
No, Secret Service protects him. We may need to work with Secret Service. Right? That's what I want Americans to understand.
Or engage in gunfire with
Secret Service.
That's
what I want people to understand. These things don't just happen. You don't just, flippantly hear an alarm and you jump in a truck and off you go and get a SWAT team and you just walk in. This is not how this works. This is very meticulously planned, and you get permissions. You need a warrant. And you go in and then you ask for, hey, we want to use deadly force. So Merrick Garland signs off on deadly force. This is so bad. Look, when it happened and we said, well, that's never happened before. Whenever you use that sentence, that's never happened before, there's a reason. Because the hoops you got to go through to get to do it. right, is insane. They went through all the hoops and they got sign-off from the top.
I mean, thank God that it didn't come to that, although I'm sure they are very disappointed that they missed their opportunity to off their top political opponent. So that's where we're at in the classified documents case. Now, the hush money trial, which is the one that's going on right now, and, I shouldn't use the left's language in this. This is the falsified business documents case, okay? Because, again, the hush money is not a crime, and that they are using that to try to make you think that Donald Trump is a bad man. He's a bad man. He paid hush money to a porn star so that she wouldn't run her mouth during the campaign. He's a bad man. But really, this is just, this trumped up, no pun intended, charge about falsified business documents or falsified categorization for a business expense. And in that particular case, jurors have been sent home for the week in this trial as lawyers on both sides of the case participated in a charge conference to design instructions on, of course, the law that is going to be read to the jury. That has to be very specific and agreed upon if you're talking about trying to determine whether or not Donald Trump rose to the level of committing a crime. They need to know what the law is before they deliberate, and their deliberations are set to begin next Wednesday after Memorial Day weekend. And I want to play for you guys. It's just a clue into how it's going or how it went for the prosecution. Yesterday, even CNN's senior legal analyst said that Michael Cohen was, I guess the real criminal between the two after he admitted to stealing $60,000 from the Trump Organization. Watch.
Yeah. Okay.
The way this was raised and addressed on direct is what Julia Louis-Dreyfus would call yada yada yada.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, here's what Michael Cohen said.
I think that was George Costanza.
No.
Was it? It was Elaine.
It was Elaine.
Really?
Yeah. It was Elaine on yada yada yada.
Let's debate it longer. I like it.
Here's the direct testimony, the way Michael Cohen explained what happened.
It's actually a girl that Costanza was dating. But okay, sorry. Go ahead.
Michael Cohen explained this whole thing, quote, "That's what was owed, and I didn't feel Mr. Trump deserved the difference." That's a lot different than I stole $60,000 from my boss on the transaction at the heart of this case. And by the way, the fact that he was never charged with larceny is important because stealing $60,000 through fraud, which would be larceny in New York State, is more serious of a crime than falsifying business records.
This is
From CNN.
From CNN. Remember, this is the star witness. He is a liar. He is a convicted perjurer. He is a fraud. And even CNN is forced to admit this star witness is the one who committed a higher crime than anything, a more serious crime than falsifying business records.
But the star witness is not a threat to the plan of the constant deep state government.
Right.
Donald Trump is.
Right.
And actually, it's not even Donald Trump. It's the will of the American people represented by a man called Donald Trump. And so this is serious. Eric said it. This is the fact that we are in this place hopefully makes the American population realize that the skier has already started the downhill.
Oh, man, it's a cliff if we're going to be more accurate. There's no slope there. We're free falling, and the ground's down there somewhere, and we're making our way to it, gravity willing. Now, for me, it is obviously bizarre that you have a guy that is already known for lying. I believe we spoke about this last week in great detail. He's a known liar, but now we have this bit about potentially. More lies, which is essentially what you do to commit fraud, right? Is lie effectively in some sort of way. You kind of pulling the wool over some people's eyes. So now we have this other case, which they explicitly state, well, CNN that is, at least that legal analyst, that this is even worse than what Trump would have did. This is your star witness,
right?
This is what yes, there's more elements to the case, but this is what you're, at least in some case, building it around, right? He had something to do with this, so he's the one that's going to kind of blow this door open, but he's unreliable. So that in itself proves how much of a sham that this is. But, I love the way that you put it. I think people need to understand that what Donald Trump represents, how people feel about him is totally irrelevant. I look at it more almost like proxy. Maybe that's not the proper term, but it's more of they see him as someone that represents a large group of people that they have deemed as their adversaries, their enemies, especially politically, okay? They tend to gravitate towards them, which is why you often hear, even if in my case, I've been called they always have some sort of weird term that they describe people, Trumpkin, Trump this, Trump that, you're Trump something. Because it's a default, right? It's basically anybody that's not in lockstep sort of with them. Even if you are a person like me, I've never voted for, didn't campaign for Donald Trump, didn't advocate that people vote for Donald Trump, yet they still throw me into it, especially when I analyze things objectively. And I can criticize him all day long, but that doesn't matter. Yeah. It's because of what he represents or what they believe that he represents that they are so irate. They're mad. They're pissed off. They're really irate at his existence because they look at it more. Even if you feel that he isn't, that's not important. They look at him like he's bucking sort of a system.
Yeah.
Now, me personally, I feel a certain way about government in general, and I do find much of it is an absolute sham. Yeah. But what the massive takeaway should be is that, I can see it, and it's one thing for me, a person who's never been involved in sort of politics or government, but now you have playing out in public in a degree that we've never seen, certainly not in my lifetime at least, playing out in publicly of them going after their probably, you'd argue, maybe the head honcho, if there is to be one, that they find in their opposition. And they're using everything that they can. They're throwing everything at them, using government agencies like the FBI to make sure that they get this stuff done. That's where I think it's very important for the American people. If you don't like Trump, to be paying attention to, because if they're willing to do that stuff to that man, you don't stand a damn chance.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah. That's quite a black pill there. But you're not wrong. Now, I will say I'll try to put a little bit of a optimistic spin on this before we got to go to break. I feel like, we went through the jury selection. We went through the demographics of the jury. It didn't look great, but
only one.
Correct. You only need one. And if CNN and MSNBC are going on television every single day and admitting that there's no case, can't you believe that some random New York juror could be like, I don't like the guy, but this is totally bogus. I can believe that.
All right. I'll give you even one before we have to go to break. I'll give you even one more white pill in it all. And that is, let's assume that he's found guilty of anything, right? The way that it's played out in American people, that they may see that it's a sham, maybe it does end up having quite the backlash, unlike anything that we've ever seen politically. Mm-hmm. Maybe it does. Maybe the people are looking at this saying, wow, they went through everything at it, and they maybe were effective in it. But how much trust are people still going to have in this system, in the way that it's set up, if they're willing to do that to a man of that stature?
Right. Yeah. Okay. So when we come back, I want to talk about, now that we have talked about the status of Donald Trump's cases and how they have just balkanized and weaponized against him, let's talk about how things are actually going on the other side with Joe Biden at the helm. First, we want to thank our sponsor, PreBorn. So as we sit here today, the lives of babies still in the womb hang in the balance. A lot of people are like, well, Roe v. Wade was overturned. Yeah, but there are so many states that are going crazy. They're like rabid to abort as many babies as possible. California looking at you. And so I want to talk to you guys about PreBorn, which is a ministry that empowers young expectant mothers in crisis to actually choose life. This is how they do it. They have a bunch of these network of clinics that they partner with that are sometimes they're right on the same corner as a Planned Parenthood. And PreBorn is rescuing hundreds of thousands of babies' lives through ultrasound, because when a woman considering abortion visits a preborn center, she actually gets to see the truth. She gets to hear her baby's heartbeat. She gets to meet her child on ultrasound. And those of you who are parents, you know this. Once you actually see the baby, once you hear that heartbeat, especially that first one, you've never gone in it before, you don't know what you're supposed to expect, and then you hear it. And the majority of the time, that woman will choose life for her baby. I love working with PreBorn because not only do they help these women through this crisis before the baby's birth, they actually are helping these women financially through the age of 2. They are there for these young women. And $28 is the cost of an ultrasound. So how many babies can we save together? You can donate securely by going to preborn.com/Sarah. That is preborn.com/Sarah. We appreciate all of you who have gone on to wherever you get your audio podcasts and subscribed, rated, and reviewed the show. Those of you who haven't yet, go on over. We'll give you time. You can hit pause. It's fine. Go on over to wherever you get your audio podcasts. Make sure that you follow the show or subscribe, depending on whatever platform you're using. Rate it and review it. It will help us in the algorithm because we know conservatives need all the help in the algorithm that they can get. Also, you may see your review read live on air, like the ones today from App KO. They've said 5 stars, love it, love Sarah Pelosi.
It's undocumented, but saying illegal is not a big deal.
Thank you very much for your review. Also, we've got one from Lucky Bishop who said, excellent new format, excellent step forward with an always informative show. The new format is just better and the topics more timely. And I'm just going to go ahead and add in that Lucky Bishop said, also, I love your intro music. So screw you, haters. Not that I hold any resentment toward any of you. I'm kidding. So I want to go through just kind of how bad it is. Let's just tie these two things together, because on one hand, when we're talking about the November election, we've got all of the political persecution of Donald Trump that is happening that the Americans are watching. And I think that even the average American who doesn't listen to a lot of news can at least go, that seems strange. 91 indictments against one man seems a little strange. And then on the other hand, you have, how bad are you off right now? Like, how much worse off are you right now than you were before? I'm going to say pre-COVID, okay? Because COVID was obviously an unprecedented pandemic, blah, 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 blah. But up until that point, which was the very end of Donald Trump's presidency, things were going quite well for all of us. And so new research now shows that many families dipped into their savings or turned to credit cards, buy now, pay later installment programs, or payday loans to pay for groceries last year in 2023. That is not a good sign, you guys. And I want to read you just when we talk about the cost of things. Now, I do want to state off the top, I do not advocate for anyone to be going to McDonald's or fast food places. I think that they're terribly unhealthy. But just to kind of give you a sense of how much more things cost right now. We all know the groceries cost way more. But let's go to a chart of McDonald's price increases. Menu item, medium French fries, end of 2019 price, $1.79. Mid 2024 price, $4.19. Percentage increase, 134%. McChicken, end of 2019, $1.29. Mid 2024, $3.89. That is an increase of 201%. And then there are other ones that go down from there. The Big Mac, 87% increase, almost 88% increase. 10 McNuggets, 70% increase. Cheeseburger, 215% increase. So again, I'm not saying go eat McDonald's. I don't eat McDonald's. But the fact of the matter is a lot of average Americans do.
You don't want to see Whole Foods' numbers on that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, this is the bottom of the barrel when we're talking about inflation and increase in prices. Here's another one. Chick-fil-A, same types of things. Deluxe chicken sandwich, 80% increase. 8 Chick-fil-A nuggets, 96% increase. 4 chicken strips, 79% increase. It goes on. Large milkshake, almost 65% increase. Taco Bell, same deal. Again, I definitely do not advocate for eating at Taco Bell unless you want stomach problems later. But beefy 5-layer burrito, 118% increase in price. Nachos Bel Grande, 79%. And then, of course, the bottom, I'll skip to the bottom here. Crunchwrap Supreme, 51.6% price increase. This is not sustainable. When the average American has to take out a payday loan to purchase their groceries, I would say things are not trending in the right direction. And then I want to add on top of that in 2023, which is when this research was taken for the grocery bill, the average annual percentage rates for credit cards rose to 22.8%, the highest rate on record. Not good, guys.
Yeah, and I want people to understand, it's not like ground beef wakes up one morning and says, you know what, we're worth more. We're going to charge more. It's fuel. It's transportation of food through this country. We have the most complex food distribution network in the world. Our food travels further than any other nation's food. By the time you eat lettuce in Texas, it came from the Salinas Valley. It traveled 5 days. It's fuel. And when you stop drilling, baby, and you don't produce fuel and you deplete your resources, everything goes up. Then we get to supply chain management. And everything comes from China. China owns all the ports. China charges you a tariff when you import your coffee. You drink your coffee, it comes through some Chinese port from Guatemala, Honduras, Central Africa, Kenya. China controls it. We pay them so that we can eat because we outsource everything, etc., etc. And then the cherry on the cake is Pete Buttigieg. And you've got a transportation secretary that doesn't know what he's doing. Ships are 2 weeks behind, 3 weeks late, food spoilage, etc., etc. It's compounding, but it starts with this tiny little thing called fiscal responsibility that they don't understand. And let's take the natural resources we have and go completely bonkers on the Green New Deal and say we're evil and plants are good and human life is the same as a plant, and we're not going to drill. We're not going to use oil. We're not going to use natural resources. We'd rather buy it from China or from Russia. We'd import it.
Jaco, I think you're being too hard on Pete Buttigieg. To be fair, he did spend a lot of time chest feeding his baby.
Well, maybe the brain cells went out with the imitation.
He had to be out
with the imitation lactate.
He had to be out. He needed to chest feed his baby, Eric.
Man, I don't know how much more time we have on this segment, but this is an economic question more than anything that needs to get answered, and I could take all day because this is what I do. All right, so this is not one point or one problem, or one person that created this issue. It all starts with the money, okay? And effectively and actively, both parties have collaborated in devaluing your money for a very long time, in combination with the Federal Reserve, who works in combination with the Treasury, where they are printing money like it's also going out of damn style. One of the worst decisions that have ever been made in modern history in regards to the money supply was what happened during the COVID situation. And it was not just the Democrats that were in on it. It was these bitch ass Republicans as well. And I have to call them that because what they did was absolutely criminal. And that also includes Donald Trump. And I know there's going to be a lot of our viewers that get upset with me when I bring that up, but he is just as much to blame for this problem because he should not have signed. He not only signed it, he advocated that those ridiculous trillions of dollars spending bills in order to combat this effort, which ended up being a damn sham, he signed off on it. I don't want to hear anything about his hands were tied. He was lean. I'm not trying to hear any of that because now you're feeling the effect. Simultaneously, you had two things going on. And these morons that run this country sat and convinced people that this was okay. Simultaneously, you had people not working, right? You had people that were in the actual workforce not working.
Forced to stay home
in some sort of capacity or limited to capacity in terms of work. They were not being effective workers. And it happened like that in a very, very, very short period of time, right? You cannot treat the economy like an off switch where you just hit everything off. We're going to pause it for a couple of weeks, right? 2 weeks to slow the spread, they said, which ended up being a year and some change to slow the damn spread. And the spread never got slowed in the first place. Curve never flattened or any of that stuff. So people were not working, and on the other hand, you had government spending more money than they ever had spent, and on top of that, we're printing money. I mean, what, over like half of the freaking money supply that was even circulating, it got printed in over the course of like 2, 3, 4 years. That's insane. What the hell else was supposed to happen? you don't feel it. And this is what gets me. And I say that I'm especially pissed off as a business owner because I know what happens when the cost of everything goes up. I have to then spend more money. And because I'm spending more money, I have to charge people more on goods. So when someone's like, man, I used to be able to get a comic book for 30 cents way back in the Gap. Well, good luck doing that now, because if I was just charging you 30%, I'd be out of business tomorrow. I quite literally cannot do that. Nobody can, right? And unfortunately, what's going to happen is the solution that these crack smokers are going to advocate is somehow like fixed prices and trying to act like the business owners are being greedy because they're now charging more. So we need to force them to do X, Y, and Z, which is going to, of course, increase the issue, right? It's going to exacerbate the issue, but that's what they're going to do. This is a problem that you don't need to necessarily be an economist to understand why the world is the way that it is. You just don't need to be a damn dipshit. That's it. You don't have to be the smartest person in a room. You don't need an economics degree. You don't need to understand Austrian. Well, you kind of do need to understand Austrian economics, but you don't need to be freaking Murray Rothbard or Mises or Hayek or any of the Friedman for that matter. You don't need to be them to understand what's going on. Your criminal government is robbing you blind. And the problem is that you're too stupid to realize that they're doing it. And worst case scenario, you're actually advocating that they do it. And then when everything goes up, everybody's like, oh, well, what the hell happened? Oh, yeah, we just raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour, so 20. Hell, why stop there? 30 an hour, right? They're paying 30 an hour. Everything's going to be fine. Wait a minute. I also got a 50% raise, but my groceries are also 50% more than what they were before. It's almost like it was a wash, because it was. It was a wash. Sarah, you might want to cut my mic off because I can sit up here and go all day long. I'm spitting, I'm doing all kinds of things because this gets me hyped up because it's a problem that is so easily identifiable. Mm-hmm. But for whatever reason, we look at it and everybody's like, whoa.
But Eric, when you have a population that's not formally, properly educated in a broken, sick, demonic school system, that can't balance a checkbook when they leave high school, that don't know where chickens come from. They think they come from the store.
By the way, they're getting their loans, their student loans forgiven, so they've got no...
A president that says, what debt? I just wiped it out for you. Yeah. And you asking those people to mount up the defense, they don't even know where to start. And the left knows it. The Rothschilds know it. The Rockefellers knows it. All the federal... They know. The opposition is ill-equipped to oppose us.
I just wish that Eric would get a little passionate about this topic.
Yeah, sorry.
I thought he was falling asleep.
I'm a little mundane. I'm sorry.
Golly, Eric. So boring.
I do better.
I kicked him in his shin, and that was the response.
Thank you. Finally. Thank you. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be back with more, but we want to thank our sponsor, Jase Medical. So... I hear they're like, the bird flu is back. Uh-oh, there may be another pandemic coming down the pipeline right before the November election. Does that sound familiar? Does it? Yeah, they say at least 36 herds of cattle across 9 different states have been infected so far that they know of, and they are concerned that the virus is spilling over to farm workers. And so I'm just saying, imagine that after everything that's happened the past few years, there might be... another pandemic and things might get shut down and you may not be able to get your life-saving medication. That is why you need a Jase case. It's a personalized emergency kit that contains essential antibiotics and medications that treat the most common and deadly bacterial infections. It provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use. And look, we talk about emergency food all the time, but we don't talk enough about emergency medication. There is a place for it and you need to make sure that you're prepared. All you have to do is fill out a simple form online and you'll have it in case you need it. There's add-on options too. They've got EpiPens. They've got ivermectin. You can customize it to your family's needs. You can go to jasemedical.com, enter code Sarah at checkout for a discount on your order. That is promo code Sarah at jasemedical.com. Well, Google and Meta have joined other big tech firms to try to kill 2 New York bills that would protect children from becoming addicted to social media apps. Gosh, shocker. Google and Meta they're not out there to protect the children, really? They're not out there for the little guy? That's shocking. So one of these bills, the Stop Addictive Feeds Exploitation, also known as the SAFE for Kids Act would protect children by limiting social media companies' ability to use addictive feeds by keeping kids addicted to their devices on purpose. And it requires parental consent before a social media company offers children addictive feeds and bars social media companies from pushing notifications to children and teens between midnight and 6 a.m. without parental consent. And then the other one is the New York Child Data Protection Act, which would protect minors from having their personal data accessed. And so what has happened is that Google and Meta, along with a group of big tech firms and advocacy groups and companies from other sectors, have spent $325,000 lobbying New York lawmakers just through mid-March, and the expenditure is expected to surpass the $1 million mark. I don't know what it's going to take for parents. Maybe some of you are out there watching this program, and I don't mean to talk down to you, but what the hell is it going to take for you to get your children off of social media? I don't understand. It's very easy. We were not here to be our parents or to be our children's best friend. That is not my role. That is not your role. That will not be your role. It is your job as a parent to protect your child from harm. And there is just no argument that you can make, in my opinion. I'd love to hear your thoughts. There's no argument to be made that this isn't harming children. And so it's just like these companies are, in Eric's words, telling on themselves when they're fighting against a bill that would protect children from harm. They're telling on themselves. They don't care about your kids. They love that your kids get addicted. It helps their bottom line. They love it. They don't care about your kids. What is it going to take?
That's the thing, though. For me, I don't think this is even a government issue. Yeah, it's in their best interest because they care more about their bottom line to make people addicted to utilizing their platform. This means definitely a platform like a Google or a Meta that relies so heavily on like advertisements. So they need unique users that are on their websites or on their social media platforms in some capacity. It doesn't matter the age. It's a view that they can sell to advertisers. So and I'm sure it goes a little deeper than that. To your point, I do think the conversation that I would much rather have is
why are parents?
That's the conversation that I want to have, because we all on social media in some way. We know how wild, you know what I mean, it is.
Especially Twitter, by the way.
There's
more nudity.
Those bots.
I will tell you,
those bots are bad, man.
This nonsense that Elon is fighting child exploitation is utter.
Look, I don't know what. I know that they keep doing the purges. They did one today, not too long ago. My followers went down. Yeah. Didn't stop from. I'm talking raw naked asshole, like on, like I mean, I was on my own post. And I'm scrolling down. I'm trying to hide them because I'm like, somebody's trying to. So we try to talk comic books, and there's someone what is this? So it's bad, right?
Yeah.
And they also are. It doesn't matter what the age is. If there's some teenager or whatever that's on their post, and they're seeing all that stuff too. So at that point, assessing it for what it is, whether it sucks. The platforms don't do that. Don't do that well. I'm trying to shield you from that because I don't want to see it as an adult. Let alone, obviously, you don't want a child to see it. Now that you know that and you've assessed it, that's how these sites operate, and then it's on you as a parent.
Exactly. So
I don't really have the answer. You're going to be far more familiar with this, both you as well, both of you guys being parents. Like, I don't know why it does seem to be a struggle for parents to, not just with that. Sarah, we've talked about a million different subjects.
They're lazy.
We're talking. Yeah, they want. It's like they want someone else to raise.
They want to farm out their parenting to someone else who doesn't care about their kids. They just want to farm everything out. They want to send them to the public indoctrination camps to get indoctrinated. They want to set a device in front of them when they go out to eat so that they don't have to be bothered to actually socialize with their children. They just want to farm everything out to their kids, and they're too lazy, and they don't have the balls, I guess, to just say no. No is the healthiest thing you can say to your child. I say it to mine all the time. Do they like it? No. Do I care? Not really.
No. Look, biblically, if you don't discipline your children, you don't love them.
Yeah.
Deal with that any way you want to. Eric, it does go a little bit deeper than that. Anybody in business in what's called CPG, consumer packaged goods particularly, know that the avenue to the wallet is the child. Okay?
If you tap into that, and I say this as someone that produces comics, if you tap into that market, you're made.
Yes. So the child is in the ear of the parent. I want Keebler cookies. I want
V-Bucks for my Fortnite.
I want. So in particular industries, the most costly lead you can buy or sell at the highest price is in fact the child. So this is why you'll see a Zuckerberg standing in front of Congress going, well, it's algorithms. No, you don't want to make change because you'll drop 30% market cap in your EBITDA the second you do age verification. Yeah. Jason Citron at Discord, #1 trafficking platform for children on the planet. Discord, gaming, right?
Yeah.
That dude was just valued at $17.4 billion. The second he brings age verification into Discord, $4 billion off the books, like that. So you're asking immoral men and women to make highly moral decisions to not compromise children. They look at that child as an object. It's a lead to sell. It's someone to sell to, advertise to, market to. And the predators of the world are saying, thank you. No. Licking their chops saying, thank you, Elon, for not doing anything. And could they? Of course. In a heartbeat. They spy on you every second. You talk about curtains, the next minute the 5 commercials on YouTube's about curtains. Yeah. You're like, where did that come from? Because they're listening to you. FBI, CIA, Zuckerberg,
Us
the whole deal.
At this table in particular.
Okay,
like, we're on all the
of
lists.
Course. And I'm so shadow banned. I mean, they're surprising themselves with how deep their levels can go on my feed. But that's what. Can they stop it? Yes. Do they want to? Absolutely not. Because they worship the god of money, which means, baby, you want to go burn in hell? That's where you're headed.
So let's go ahead and on this kind of the same topic, let's take a quick break and we'll be back with more. I want to play for you one of the most awkward moments on television unraveled yesterday when rapper Cameron appeared on CNN to discuss the leaked video showing Diddy beating his girlfriend in 2016. Or maybe he wasn't. I don't know if he even thought that that's what he was there for. I don't know. I'll let you decide. Watch.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? I mean, is there something known in the industry about how Diddy treated his artists?
So I'm going to get some cheeks after this horsepower joint.
That means sex,
I just
by
went
the way.
off what
Cheeks.
Mace said. Mace took me to Biggie. I don't really know Puffers like Mace know Puff. So I appreciate what Mace said. And of course, that's my brother. So if he felt that way, then he felt that way. I can't really tell you how Puff moves or anything like that. Mace may know better than me because he was signed to Puff. I wasn't. But my show does come on at 8 a.m. Eastern on YouTube. It's called It Is What It Is, and y'all make sure y'all check it out. And y'all might get some more information out of Mace from there. But for me to tell you how Puff act and all that, I don't know. I never was signed to him.
Yeah. What about the industry in general? I mean, so many people have pointed out that Diddy couldn't get away with this stuff if there weren't a lot of people protecting him. Do you think that's the case?
Who the talent agent for this joint? Like, you think I'll be sitting around watching what Diddy do and all this? I didn't know this was a Diddy joint that y'all invited me to. Yo, who booked me for this joint?
All right.
Wow, and I'll be sitting
Cameron,
around watching Diddy and all that. Yeah,
thanks.
Man, come on, man.
Thanks for joining us. Thank you for your time tonight.
Yeah, thank you for having me. You enjoy.
Wow. Yep. No, hey, birds of a feather is what I'll say. They tend to flock together in the world. I mean, come on. But it's CNN. What do you expect?
Yeah, I know. But I mean, is this going to just go away for him? Did he?
No, he's done.
Someone clearly is out to get him. They're out to.
He's done.
Yeah, no,
everything on him.
I've met with a lot is a understatement. A lot of people in the industry that are offering up a lot of information. They want to see him take the fall because they don't want to. Mm-hmm. And they're super nervous that anyone will look anywhere else. And you know, it's no different than what happened with Ghislaine and Jeffrey and Harvey and all the other guys. You know, at some point it gets so volatile that the industry says he's the bad guy, offer him up. But they were all complicit. So many of them played a part. So many of them knew. You know, this idea that only Harvey Weinstein made women do certain things on the casting couch. It's happening today in Hollywood, right? But they all went like, it'll satisfy them if we find the one bad guy.
Mm-hmm.
Offer him up, and that's what's happening with Sean Combs.
Eric?
Yeah, he's done. I mean, with that said, I do believe that, well, I won't say I believe it, but I could see a world where he had no idea that they were going to be asking him about that.
This guy?
Cameron, about Diddy.
Cameron didn't know what planet he was on.
Yeah, he was right. That's true. Maybe they did.
That world very easily after watching him.
People that know Cameron's done a lot of these interviews that have gotten around back in the past. I believe it was one, was it Bill O'Reilly that he did? I think one with way back in the Gap. So he, to his point, for context here, who he's talking about is Mace. And Mace, for people that are familiar with the hip hop scene, he's a coach. They do some weird like kind of, they talk sports and stuff show, and Cameron does one with Mace. Mace used to be like Puff's like right hand.
Best friends, yeah.
Now since then, it's been a long time. Mace has pretty much come out against him. And it didn't just start yesterday. Obviously I guess he's like, what does that have to do with me? Yeah, I'm cool with his former, the guy that he was signed under, but what the hell does this have to do with me, or why y'all asking me about that? So could he have been ambushed? Potentially. But either way, to your point, Diddy is getting thrown to the wolves. He's done. I think at this point he's done. I know he did. Since we last spoke about him, he had come out and did some video where he was talking about what happened with Cassie and how his, like, what did he say? His stuff was like indefensible, what he did and everything.
Yes, and that he hit rock bottom and that he takes full responsibility, even though when he was going through the case against him, he denied
everything.
He denied that he did anything wrong, and he was gaslighting the victims, saying that they were just in it for the money.
Yeah, so.
But I'm sure you're really sorry, Diddy, okay?
Yeah, I think that was, but he's for sure done. But yeah, look, I don't believe that a guy that's a mogul like that, like, people need to understand, Puff probably made more money in the hip hop scene than any of these guys.
He's a billionaire.
Yeah, right. So they all knew something was funky.
Yeah. Plus, you should have some forfeiture of assets. That's when it hurts. You should take some of those billions, see some forfeiture of assets, and see some restitution for the victims until it really, really hurts.
Yeah. All right, we've got to take
don't change.
A quick break. We'll be right back. Well, with all this talk about, global instability and domestic instability, aren't you guys glad that we can at least look to the military for a source of strength and masculinity? Like this one. Watch. Those of you who are listening on audio podcasts, it is a man in the military who just put on tinted lip gloss and is now strutting his way to his ship and dancing, mostly like a giant homosexual, which I'm sure he is.
On an aircraft carrier.
Was that an aircraft?
I don't know. I'd have to look again, but it's on a naval ship, and that's who's going to defend you when things get really, really difficult.
Is it?
No, he's not.
Is it? Who's going to defend you when it gets really difficult?
Not. He will jump ship, literally.
Literally. We're screwed. Eric, final words.
Yeah, that was pretty gay.
No, literally, that wasn't like an insult. It just was really gay.
It was gay. It was just like legit. Like, that was pretty gay, man. So
it's just
the Army's gay. That's what who it was, the Army, right? Or what was it?
May have been the Navy.
Navy. Well, they're gay. Whoever it is.
You're gonna have one side that says, no, it's the other one that's gay, not us. It doesn't matter.